Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. If you can hear me, would you give me a thumbs up before you turn off your camera? Thank you so much. While we, let's just take a couple more minutes while we were waiting for others to, yep, they keep coming, which is great. Just drop in the chat where you are tuning in from today. I will keep an eye on the waiting room. Hello, hello, hello. Um, let's see. I'm gonna minimize this. Amazing. We've gone international. We've got Canada in the house. That's incredible. I actually had a number of messages from people in Germany and Switzerland who said, I would love to be there. I'm signed up, but I'm going to be asleep. So they're going to catch the replay. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my slide. That I think everyone should be able to see the slides. I'm going to move the chat over here. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat, but if I somehow miss your message, just let me know and I'll come back to it. Thank you so much for being here. I am Lori Reynoldson. I am the founder of the School of Midlife, and today is day one of the 5-day masterclass, How to Feel Like Yourself Again in Midlife. I feel like so many of us midlife women feel like we're doing all of the things and we still just feel a little off. But we're going to dive all into that today. We're going to get started today, and then for the next, we'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're going to take the weekend off, which will allow you some time to catch up on the replays if you need to. And then we'll come back and we'll finish up on Monday. So, with that, let's get going. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Got a little ahead of myself there when somebody else came in. I want to welcome you to the masterclass, and I want to let you know that there is a reason that you're here. There is something that aligned with you either seeing you received an email from me, or you saw something, you saw an ad on Instagram or Facebook, but there is a reason that you are here today. And I want to acknowledge that because I also know that not only are you not here by accident, but you're a busy woman. You have a lot going on during the day. It means a lot to me that you would spend some time with me here going through the masterclass. So, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It's also important to note that you're here and you said yes to this masterclass because there's a part of you that already knows that you're finally ready for something different. And that's what we're going to talk all about this week. Because I have received a couple of emails from people saying, I'm signing up, which is great, but I'm not in midlife. I feel like I'm either too young or I'm too old. And I want to just give you some pause here and let you know that there is really no midlife definition. I always think about it. I mean, we were raised with this idea that it's between 40 and 60. That still kind of, if we're talking about society's definition of midlife, that still rings true. But I'll tell you, midlife is getting younger. And what I mean by that is midlife is more of a mindset now than it is an age range. Not only is it getting younger, it's also getting older. So here's what I mean by that. Most of us were raising children, climbing the corporate ladder, and then between 40 and 60, we decided, you know what? Maybe we want something different. The women who are coming up behind us, and I'm 54, so behind my generation, they're actually realizing that they don't want to keep putting the reps in and spending the time for things that aren't lighting them up in their life. So they're actually choosing to make some of these big decisions that a lot of us are making in midlife, they're doing it earlier, which is fantastic. And then on the flip side, then we've got all of these other women who are just a little bit ahead of my generation, and they have raised the families. A lot of them have grandkids. Many of them are retired, but they're also not ready to just play pickleball and mahjong all day. They are ready for something else. So I want to rest assured you are not too old. You are not too young. If you're in your early 20s and you probably don't have enough life experience yet, but other than that, you are in exactly the right place. And I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, let's talk about the purpose of the masterclass. We're here for 5 days. And if I had to sum it up in just big picture, I want you to stop outsourcing your self-worth. And I know that that sounds like a very big umbrella, and we're going to break that down over the next 5 days. But so many of us have given our power away to our bodies, which we're going to talk a lot about today. We've given our power away to our resume because we kind of keep chasing the big promotions in the career. We think that we should be maybe farther along in climbing the ladder, but we're chasing a lot of success as it relates to our career. And then a lot of us have also outsourced our self-worth and our opinions to everyone else around us. In fact, a lot of times when we try and make decisions, we ask everyone else first. We need to reclaim a little bit of that. We're going to get way deep into that on, I think it's day 3. Another purpose of the masterclass, I want you to get comfortable questioning everything you've ever thought about what it means to have a successful life. Many of us have been following a success checklist that was kind of handed to us when we were young. We tend to define success by how much money do we make and what is our job title. And I want you to invite a different definition, which we are going to get into as we move along in the masterclass. And then finally, I want you to get clear on what it means to be you again. So many of us have lost sight of what it means to be ourselves, to show up as authentic as we are, because we have been so conditioned and we're so used to playing different roles in the lives of others. And so we're very used to showing up as somebody's wife or mother or boss or daughter. But who are we when we strip away all those roles and all those identities? If your speaker is on, would you mind muting? Thank you. So what does this mean? I want you to get to the point where you stop outsourcing your self-worth, you question everything that you've been taught about being a success, and you get clear on what it means to be like you again, so that you can stop trying to change your body, right? The whole idea of this masterclass is, why don't you feel like yourself in midlife after you fixed all of the physical pieces? But I want you to get to the point where you stop chasing the next fix as it relates to what's going on physically, and you start making decisions that align with the woman you're becoming. Okay? All right. Here's what no one else is telling you maybe before today. No amount of fixing your midlife body will make you feel like yourself again. So it's not after another hormone protocol. There's not a special wellness routine that you need to go find. There's no physical transformation promise that is going to make everything feel better and different. There are no quick fixes or surface level changes. You actually have to get into some deep inner work that creates this lasting change that requires you to reconnect with your authentic desires. That requires you to redefine success. What does success mean to you? So how do you create success on your own term? And once we do that, then we're able to create a life that feels true to us in this season of life. A lot of us made some big decisions when we were in our 20s and 30s about who we wanted to marry and where we wanted to live and what we wanted to do for a job. And for some of us, those decisions and those choices are still ringing true. They still feel like decisions that we would make. For others of us, not so much anymore. And we're kind of on this bit of transformation and change that feels a little uncomfortable to us, which is also why we're not feeling maybe comfortable in our skin, or we just don't feel like ourselves anymore. So how can we create a life that does feel like us and ourselves in this life, or in this season of life? To do that, we need to have clarity and understand how we want to feel. We have to go deeper, because what I'm going to tell you, and if you listen to the private podcast, in fact, did any of you listen to the private podcast? What did you think? But what we're trying to do here is not fix our bodies anymore, because what we're trying to do, it's deeper than menopause. Midlife is more than menopause. It's more than hot flashes. It's more than all of the physical symptoms that we associate with midlife. Because the truth is that your body is not the only thing that needs a reset in midlife. Said another way, the only way to feel like yourself in midlife is to get clarity on who you are now and what you actually want in this season of life. And when I talk about what you actually want, I don't mean what you were conditioned to want. I don't mean what your parents told you to want. I don't mean what society tells you should want, or what some influencer on social media tells you to want, but what is it you actually want? Most of us don't know that because of so many years of conditioning and behaviors and habits that we lost sight of who we were and what we wanted a long time ago. And we need to get that back. We also need to understand, what does success mean to us? And if we are really, truly trying to create a best life, and I'll talk more about best life in a bit here, but we need to know what that looks like and feels like. It's just like if you get in a car and you have no idea how to get to the location where you're going, you at least need an address or a map, or you're not going to end up there. If we are trying to create our best life in midlife, we actually need to know what that looks like and what that feels like, so that we can get busy creating a life that feels more in alignment with the best life that we are chasing. All of this starts with decision making. Most of the time, no one has talked to us about decision making. In fact, for many of us, we have not been making decisions based on our gut or our intuition. And we're going to change that. I'm going to give you some tools in the masterclass this week that are going to deep dive into decision making, so that you can confidently make decisions that align with who you are in this season of life. Here's why this is also important. Because if you don't know what you want, you'll keep chasing what you've been taught to want, which for most of us is more or bigger or the next thing. And in midlife, that also looks like maybe the next fitness hack, or the next smoothie recipe, or the next supplement regimen. I don't know about you, but my pantry is full of different supplements and powders and collagen and all of the things to make the perfect smoothie. And that's great if that is consistent with where I want to go. We want to do this so that we end up with a life that looks good on paper. Nope. Back that up. I misspoke there. Okay. If we don't know what we want, if we don't know what success looks like, if we don't know what our best life looks like, then we're just going to keep chasing the more and the bigger and the next. And then we'll end up with a life that looks good on paper, but doesn't feel like ours, which might be exactly why we're here today. And just like me, maybe that pantry full of powders and collagens and supplements and serums. If we don't know what we want, if we don't know what success feels like and looks like, if we don't know what our best life feels like and looks like, then it doesn't matter what we do. it doesn't matter what we chase, we still won't feel like ourselves and we won't be comfortable in our own skin. And that is not how we want to live the second half of our life. Okay. The next 5 days, here is just an overview of what we're going to talk about. Day one, we are focusing on why you don't feel like yourself after fixing your midlife body. Day two, we're going to deep dive into the wake up call every high achieving woman gets in midlife because it is almost across the board exactly the same. There are some small little bits that are a little different, but every high achieving midlife woman gets the same wake up call in midlife. Day three, we're going to move into this whole idea of what got you here won't get you there. So we need to switch it up a little bit. We're going to give you some tools and frameworks that are going to work to help you move from here to where you want to go. And then day four, I'm going to show you a better way to do midlife. And then we're going to wrap it up on Monday with day five with this choice. It's time for you to choose once we get to day five. Do you want the life you have now, or do you want to start living the life you want? So that is a lay of the land of the next 5 days. It is going to be a powerful, powerful 5 days. Today, we are focused on building awareness around why physical changes alone aren't enough to feel like yourself again in midlife. We're going to do a deep dive on why you don't feel like yourself after fixing your body. So we're going to be really focused on external physical changes, physical symptoms, why fixing the body makes us still feel a little unlike we're comfortable in our skin. Kind of like we don't really even feel like ourselves or maybe even know ourselves anymore. Then in day two, we are going to talk about that wake up call that every high achieving midlife woman gets in midlife. And this is all about validating your personal midlife experience. I think so often we feel like what we're feeling in midlife, it's just us. That everyone else seems to have it figured out. Everyone else seems to have these great lives. Everyone else seems to feel like they're doing what they want and they feel really good about their lives. So is it just me? I'm going to tell you it's not just you. And we're going to spend a lot of time tomorrow validating everything that you're feeling in midlife, particularly as it relates to what I call success fatigue. But there are so many invisible struggles that we just feel like it must just be me. I must be doing it wrong. Trust me, you're not. Day three, we're going to move into the strategies that once worked. Why are they no longer working? One example of that we're going to talk about today is, do you remember in college or even in your 20s, when 20s and probably even 30s, you could go big on a weekend, maybe go out, have a couple of drinks, go dancing, spend maybe, I don't know, another 30 or 45 minutes on the Stairmaster when you got back to work back to the gym on Monday. That doesn't work anymore, does it? I mean, you still are carrying that extra weight. Your sleep is all messed up. Doesn't work. So what got you here isn't going to get you there. And we're going to talk about why those strategies aren't working any longer. Day four, I don't know that I have a favorite, but day four is one of the most inspirational days of the masterclass. And I'm going to introduce you to some incredible midlife women who have had just amazing transformations when they have started figuring out who they are, what they want, what success looks like to them, what their best life looks like. So day four is all about expanding your perspective on what's possible for you in midlife. And then we'll wrap up on day five with this whole choice. And I'm going to invite you to finally figure out who you are in this season of life so you can put yourself first and create the life that you've been craving. So if that sounds good, let's dive in. Oh, let's do some housekeeping first. Just to remind you, we're going live today, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, and then Monday. at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific. You will get a replay for every day. Those will all be available on the replays page. So you might want to bookmark schoolofmidlife.com/replays. This is what it's going to look like when you pull it up on your phone. So you will have catch the replays here, and you can either click here to watch the video, or you can click here to listen on the go in the private podcast, the audio feed. This is what it looks like if you are on your desktop. This is where you're going to go to find the replays. Again, it'll have the day. There is a spot that you can click for video and audio. I just noticed that these are old images. This is for a prior masterclass I did, but it'll be that yellow banner with the screen here if you want to watch on video. All of the replays are going to be available until January 11th. And that's because we're going to get started on a kickoff call for the Best Life Lab, which I'm going to talk to you in just a moment. We're going to get started on that on the 12th. So by the 11th, the replays are going to go away, and hopefully you will join us for the kickoff call on the 12th. I feel like I should introduce myself because I know several of you who are here. Welcome, friends. Others of you probably just saw an ad on Instagram or Facebook. You have absolutely no idea who I am. So I want to just take a quick moment and introduce myself to you. I'm Lori Reynoldson, and I oftentimes say that I am not a typical coach for midlife women. I will say for a long, long time, when people ask me what I did, I didn't even say that I coached them. And I certainly didn't say that I was a life coach. And then I realized that the women that I coach, in my mind, I was like, they don't need a midlife coach. They don't need a life coach. They've got things figured out. They're running businesses. They're highly successful at what they do. They're the CEO of their household, and they are raising small humans who are going on to doing great things. And, they seem to have these relationships and friendships, and they've got life figured out. What could I possibly offer? And then I realized that a midlife coach is exactly what they need, because they have been so successful at all of the things that they thought they were supposed to do. Go to school, get a job, get married, have some kids, raise them up, climb the career ladder. And then they get to midlife and they've done all the things that they should do. And they're feeling a little angsty. They're feeling a little off. They don't feel as fulfilled as they expected to. And that's where I come in. And that's where we get really clear on what do you want? What does success look like to you? Who are you in this season of life? All of those deeper questions. This is not my first rodeo. I spent over 20 years as an award-winning commercial real estate attorney. And so I worked on large, complex transactions really all over the country. And then after doing that for about 20 years, I went into commercial real estate brokerage. So same industry, different part of the deal. Loved what I was doing. As far as the people I was working, my clients, I loved helping them build something. What I didn't like is kind of the person that I was becoming to have to compete in those highly stressful male-dominated industries. I could do it, and I did it. But I just felt like I was losing a little bit of myself when I, had to put on those more contentious pants, I guess, more stressful than I was hoping. So anyway, when I was on the verge of becoming a partner in a law firm, I left the law. There is a bit on that on the private podcast. I'm going to also talk about that a little bit more as we go along this week. But after I left brokerage, then I founded the School of Midlife. And the School of Midlife is where we provide midlife women the tools and the strategies and the frameworks and the support. So that community to really become the women that they were always meant to be. And we do that through coaching, whether that's one-on-one or group coaching or luxury retreats. I saw that Wendy is here today. Wendy is going to be joining me for the Best Life Retreat in Savannah in Arizona in April. There is much more about that on the website. I'm not going to talk about it in the master classes, but it really is an incredible weekend. And if you are able to join us, that would be wonderful. My approach is also a little different than other people because I mix science, so human behavior, psychology, quantum physics even, and I mix that with strategy. So science and strategy together. I am one of 1,100 certified high performance coaches in the world. And I'm also certified in human design through the Ignite Her Coach School. I am just starting with human design, and I am amazed at how this science of differentiation is really becoming a very meaningful tool with the midlife women that I work with who are trying to figure out what is their purpose? What do they want to be? What were they sent here to do from God, source, universe, spirit, whatever your belief is. But it's been a really interesting tool that I have loved introducing to my clients. And the last thing I'll say about me is I really feel like as a Gen X woman, as a midlife woman, there are so many incredible opportunities for midlife women that maybe we've never realized before. Because from a programming perspective, we are kind of taught that once you get to midlife, it's all downhill from here. And I absolutely do not believe that. I am on a mission to help millions. So, midlife women all over the world really step into the best version of themselves so that they can make that what I call Act 3, that second half of their life. They can really live their best life in midlife and beyond. So, that's a little bit about me. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to talk today about the physical fixes, why, when you fix the physical piece, why that doesn't solve the real problem. Talk about what the real problem is as well. We're going to also talk about what's actually going on when you still don't feel like yourself. And then we will also cover what you must do instead if you want some lasting change. So let's get into it. Before we do that, though, if you would just drop in the chat, I'd like to maybe get the chat going a little bit more, make this a little bit more conversational. Assuming it's December 31, 2026. So last day of the year here, and it has been the best year of your life. I want to know, what did you do this year that made it the best year? What did you do that made this year different? Did you make some changes? What did you start doing? What did you stop doing? Drop it in the chat. I would just love to hear if you get to the end of the year and you found out, you realized that this was your best year. What did you do differently this year? Brandy says, more vacations. Love. Anne said, I stopped taking clients I don't like. I also love that. Isn't that interesting how when we get into midlife that we become more discerning and we make some decisions that feel more like us instead of what we were supposed to do? That Anne seems to have hit the nail on the head because that also seems to be resonating. Fantastic. Interesting that neither of you said anything about, losing weight or making sure I felt better in my swimsuit before I went on vacation. So we don't seem to be focused on the physical piece, but then we also tend to place a big weight on it. Deborah, finally stopped second guessing myself. Oh, I couldn't love that more. That's so beautiful. All right, let's move on then. Okay, let's start here. You have done everything right to fix your body. You got serious about your hormones. You changed your workouts. You cleaned up your eating. You cut back on the alcohol and got more sleep. Who else maybe bought a weighted vest, right? Because we were told that we should buy a weighted vest. We need to start taking our walks in a weighted vest. So we've done everything that we were told we were supposed to do. We did all the right things. I also bought the weighted vest. I I don't. Are you guys still wearing your weighted vest? I sort of feel like that was a big thing in 2025, and I've stopped wearing mine. But anyway, it's interesting that when we do the things that we are told are the right things to fix our body, and we do them, and we still don't feel quite right. So what do we do then? I'm telling you, it's not your body. It's not your body. It's what you were taught to believe about it. So we were kind of fed this idea that if we look good, we'll feel good. So we spend a lot of time coloring our hair or bleaching our teeth or all waxing our chin. Yes. Some of you may have actually seen me go viral on Instagram for a reel about chin hair. No, and also, why didn't anybody tell us about chin hair when we were coming up? Like, it's sort of a big deal. But this whole idea of if we look good, then we'll feel good. We also have bought into this idea that if we put more effort into something, we'll get more value out of it. We spend more time on the Stairmaster, we will end up losing the weight that we thought we would, or we spend more time on the Peloton, our legs will look better. This whole idea of more effort equals more value. What about this? Well, if something feels off, just fix your appearance. Just go into the bathroom, maybe put some lipstick on. You look upset or frustrated. Maybe just smile a little bit more. So we start taking all these cues about how we're feeling, how we're looking. It all relates to an exterior, a physical, an external piece of us. And because we have sort of bought into this whole idea that if we look good and we feel good and more is more, then a lot of us have gotten to the point where we're outworking our bodies. We push beyond exhaustion. We think, you know what? I will relax. I will take a beat. I will get some sleep right after the next project. And then what happens? Then we get sick because our body's like, wait 1 minute. Like, did you forget about me? I'm the one thing that is actually getting you through this life. You need to be nice to me. But we're so used to just pushing, ignoring exhaustion, pushing through. To what point? To what end? I talked about this earlier. There was a point where we could just go big over the weekend and then make up for it with a juice cleanse on Monday and an extra Stairmaster session. Or we're planning a weekend getaway. And I used to be the person who would plan to get on the very last flight home so that, I'd get home at like 11 or 12 a.m. and then get up and go to work the next day. Well, no, we can't do that anymore, can we? That's not sustainable. Then we just end up tired and sick and angry. And so it's not our body that's the problem. It's what we're taught to believe about it. Related to that is this whole idea that you can't wellness your way out of this. What I mean by that is no amount of protein or biohacking or supplements or walking 10,000 steps a day, wearing the weighted vest, buying into any other wellness practices. That's not going to answer the real questions that are waking you up at 2:00 in the morning. Who am I now? What do I actually want? What matters most to me in this season of life? Oftentimes when we start asking ourselves those questions, a lot of times people tell us that, well, you're having a midlife crisis. And that happens, we're going to get into that a lot tomorrow. That happens because we're showing up in a different way. We're showing up in a way that's actually more authentic and in alignment for us. And they're saying, well, wait a minute, I I liked the other person that you were better. And most of the time, that's because we said yes to them without even ever checking in with ourselves to figure out, is that a yes, or should I say no there? We maybe haven't set and held the healthy boundaries that we need to do. So rest assured, this is not a crisis, but I'm telling you, it is an opportunity to do some things differently. I also want to, so we've said it's not you, it's not your body. I want to reassure you that it is not you. It is the $5.6 trillion, trillion with a T, $5.6 trillion wellness industry that has taught us you're tired because you're lazy, or your belly, that extra weight you're carrying around in midlife, that's your fault. Your face needs to be fixed to look younger. Your wrinkles make you look old. I love this one. Gray hair is sexy on men, but it looks way too old on a woman. So you better get that colored. And I'm telling you that you're not broken. You're just being marketed to. There is this massive industry invested in you feeling like you're not enough. And I'm telling you that if fixing your body were the answer, this industry wouldn't continue to be growing. Think about it. We've been told that if we just fix the body, we'll finally feel better. That story fuels a multi-trillion-dollar industry. There is big, big money in convincing women that there is something wrong with them, that there is something that needs to be fixed. And the truth is, the solution that they're selling you, it never really addresses what's going on. It never gets to the root of the issue, especially in midlife, especially when you're feeling like, I don't feel like myself. I'm not comfortable in my skin. I look in the mirror and I wonder, where did I go? Who am I now? I polled, for those of you who are listening on the replay and not watching the video, I did pull some advertisements, and let's just talk about some of these. Lose your belly, weight loss secrets that work. In fact, these women health magazines, and they're called Women's Health for a reason, right? That's sells more. If it's a women's health journal, wow, they must really know what they're talking about. There are so many things going on these cover pages that I couldn't even understand. I didn't know where to draw all the circles. Drop 2 sizes in just 2 weeks. 1,432 new health, beauty, and sex tips. Flat abs, firm butt, lean legs. How about this one? You know why she's wearing the sweatshirt, don't you? And then you look down here and it says, stop eating. That's the solution that this advertisement is offering. Just stop eating. You don't need to eat. You're a woman. You don't need to eat. How about this one? Is this you 5 years from now? Are you going to go from where you are, like trim and healthy in a swimsuit, to chubby and fat in a swimsuit? Well, to avoid that, reach for a Lucky Strike cigarette instead. And the good news about that is it's toasted. What about this? Fit up your figure, then make up your face. We have an entire industry that has told women that they need to put on a bunch of makeup before their face is actually okay to be seen out in the world. How about this one? The easiest diet guide ever. Last minute help. Here's your summer shape up. You give us 20 minutes at home and you'll get flat abs, lean legs, the works, everything that you could ever want, right? Will you inherit your mother's body? Don't eat that grisly food. Indulge dry, mature skin. It looks less crinkled, feels more resilient. Age re-perfect. So this whole idea that we have to, getting old is awful. It's something that we need to re-perfect. We've got this dry, mature skin and it's crinkly. Yeah, getting older is a privilege. Not everybody gets to do it. Let's keep moving on because there's even more. Again, with the women's health, they really like this one: flat abs, lean legs, firm butt, because they also used it over here. I mean, that seems to be kind of their slogan on what they want to say. Look 5 years younger in just 5 minutes. New year, new you. Start your total body tune up today. 465 plus life changing health, beauty, nutrition, style, and fitness tips. How about this one? This is Tab, the soda, and low fat, plain low fat Dannon yogurt. Treat your body right. Tab and Dannon. How about this one? I lost 25 pounds in 5 months. Now thin is a fact of life. That's Tootie from the Facts of Life. Give me a week and we'll take off the weight. Can you imagine? And we bought a lot of this. We bought into it. We bought it. And we believed that we weren't enough the way we were, that we needed the next cream or the eating supplement or the diet regimen or the exercise routine. We needed something else to feel better about ourselves. $5.6 trillion industry. That's a whole lot to tell us that we are not enough. And I agree, Franny, that sweatshirt one is crazy. Just stop eating. You'll be good. Just stop eating. So we've been sold a fix for every symptom that we have, whether it's losing weight or anti-aging. I mean, look at these numbers. The global wellness market is $5.6 trillion. Anti-aging skincare, of which women in perimenopause and menopause are buying the largest stake, $63 billion industry. Weight loss drugs, again, being led by women in perimenopause and menopause. That is projected to be a $100 billion industry by 2030. Menopause supplements and treatments, $24 billion. Supplements, again, with the women in perimenopause and menopause looking for some solution. So they are spending the most in this category at $177 billion. How about estheticians and injectables? That is a $138 billion industry. That's a lot of money that we are spending trying to fix every symptom of getting older. But they're not selling you wellness. They're selling you self-doubt. And we're buying it. We're buying it because we're told that when we fix our body, we'll feel better. I should say, I am not a wellness coach. I don't do fitness. I don't do meal plans. I don't try and fix your body from the outside. We need to fix, if there's any fixing that needs to be done, we need to get you comfortable with being who you are, just as you are, just showing up in your own skin and feeling confident and clear and knowing what you want, showing up as your baddest self. That's what I sell. If you've done all the things and you still don't feel like yourself, if you've tried all the fixes, you've done the anti-aging skincare, the weight loss drugs, the menopause supplements, just the regular supplements, the injectables, and you still don't feel like yourself, that's not a failure. I want to tell you that. You haven't failed at anything. I do think it's an invitation, though. It's a sign that it's time for a different approach. I look at it like this. We are being taught that we have a willpower problem, that if we just weren't so lazy, if we didn't sleep in and we actually got up and we did the workout, or we didn't eat that last bite, or we stopped drinking, or the industry is trying to make it so that we have some sort of a problem. And I believe that this is a system that is teaching women to disconnect from themselves. Here's what I mean by that. We've got this whole diet culture. We also have been sold all of these physical fixes, which we're going to go through in just a minute. We buy into the diet culture. We do the next physical fix, some sort of temporary relief. We sort of feel like, okay, I feel like my body is good enough that I can put on a swimsuit and go on vacation, whatever. Then after a while, we realize that what we were feeling before, that whole angsty feeling, or the feeling that something's off, or the feeling that I have a really great life, why can't I just be happy with everything I have? Something starts feeling off. And so then we double down and we go back to the next thing that we're supposed to eat, or the next physical fix that's supposed to give us the results. And again, we get the temporary relief, but it's this constant cycle. And it's because we haven't fixed the root of the problem, which we're going to get into as we move forward in the masterclass. But when we talk about diet culture, I mean, how many of you remember this whole slogan that nothing tastes quite as good as skinny feels? I remember reading that in magazines growing up. I remember hearing that in advertisements. So when we talk about diet culture, we talk about the whole idea of calories in, calories out. Well, if you are carrying a little extra weight in perimenopause or menopause, you must have a willpower problem. You must not have done that right. You must be consuming more calories than you're actually burning off. It's your fault. We're told we have to eat more protein, which changes every day, right? I mean, is it 30 grams of protein every day or at every meal? Is it 100 grams of protein every day? I don't know. We can't even keep up. We have to add the supplements. We have to drink a gallon of water a day, or maybe it is take your body weight, divide it by 2, and that's how many ounces of water you're supposed to have. I don't actually know because the science keeps changing. And I don't even know if it's the science or it's just the messaging that they are telling us. Drink a glass of wine a day for your heart. Actually, don't drink any wine. It's terrible for you. I don't know about you. I actually had to stop drinking red wine because it gave me like a 3-day hangover. I would wake up in the morning with like the sweats and a 3-day headache. And I was like, well, we got to stop with the red wine now. There are diets that are non-fat, low-fat, carnivore, Atkins, paleo, Mediterranean, vegetarian, vegan, all of the ways that we can eat. That is not an exhaustive list. You can start to see, though, that all of these messages that are coming from us, it's no surprise that we get confused. One, two, given how much money they're spending on it, it's no surprise that we're actually buying what they're selling with this promise that we're going to finally feel like how we want to feel in midlife. It's not what happens, though. We have the same exact problem with the physical fixes, where we've been told, you know what? You just do more of what you used to do. Just do more. Balance your hormones with or without HRT. Can you go on HRT or not? Everybody has a different opinion about that. Add strength training. How much? How much are we supposed to lift each day? Get off the Stairmaster. Cardio's bad. You need to lift weights. Get more sleep each night. Should you take the GLP-1 treatments or not? What about the anti-aging creams or the Botox or the fillers? And then we've got laser hair removal and shaving and waxing and color your gray hair or let it go gray. So many different messages with this whole idea, this whole underpinning that if we just fixed the physical side, that everything inside of us would take care of ourselves. What's so interesting to me about this idea of if we do what they're telling us to do, we end up disconnecting from ourselves. We end up outsourcing our choices. We get to the point where we really don't trust our intuition anymore. We have to ask someone's opinion on it. We're crowdsourcing opinions. It's like a muscle. Decision making is like a muscle. And because we've been outsourcing our decision-making power for so long, and we've been buying into everything that they're selling us. For a lot of women in midlife, we don't know how to trust ourselves anymore. And that is the actual problem. That's what we need to be solving. So then, if fixing your body is not the answer, then what is? What is? It's asking yourself deeper questions that maybe you've never had the space or been given the permission to ask. What do I want in this season of life? What would it look like to feel at home in my body, in myself, in my life? What kind of life would I create if I wasn't chasing approval? What kind of life would I create if I wasn't trying to reclaim my youth, if I wasn't trying to look 20 or 30 years younger? What kind of life would I create if I wasn't listening to everyone telling me what I should be doing? The real midlife fix, it's an inside job. The reason you don't feel like yourself even after the protein and the HRT and the sleep hacks and the skin lasers is because you've been told and taught and conditioned to start with the physical, to start with the outside. But feeling like yourself in midlife, that's a mindset shift, not a metabolic one. And the wellness industry isn't invested in you figuring that out because confidence isn't something they can sell. So before we go on, I'm just curious. What is coming up for you so far? What ahas are you having? Is this resonating? What are you thinking about in a different way that you hadn't before? Drop it in the chat. Let's talk about it. Anne said, I think they go hand in hand. I had to address my menopause symptoms before my head was ready for the bigger questions. Absolutely. That brings up something so important, Anne, is it makes perfect sense that we would start with the physical. Because if we don't feel good, then it takes too much energy to do the other bits of it, right? So it makes perfect sense that we would start with the physical. And then once that feels better, then we can start doing the inside work. But if we are just looking for the answers to those big questions outside of ourselves, we're never going to find them. Deborah said, accepting that I'm not crazy because I fixed the outside and I'm still stuck. You are in exactly the right place, Deborah. I am so glad you are here. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I feel like if more women talked about how they were feeling, it would just be this groundswell of support and community because we all feel exactly the same way. It's just a lot of us who are taught not to talk about it. Like, keep that to yourself. So thank you for sharing it. Thursday, I'm going to open the doors to the Best Life Lab. This is a brand new cohort opportunity that I am very excited about. I know that I am going to be here for 5 days, going to be giving you a lot of free information. So I just want to take a couple of minutes and talk to you about the lab because I know not everybody can be here every day of the masterclass. I'm not going to talk about it again until Thursday, so you get a sneak peek. But the lab is a group coaching experience for high achieving midlife women who are done trying to fix themselves and are ready to start living with the clarity, intention, and excitement of knowing who they are and what they want most in this season of life. So, big picture, what we're going to do is we're going to get clear on what you actually want in this season of life, not what you've been told you should want. We're going to define success on your terms. You're going to actually come up with your own definition of success, not what your job title is, not what your paycheck is, but what does success actually mean to you? And then we're going to create a plan that brings our best life into focus. We're going to start taking some simple, doable steps that move you forward. Think about a lab. A lab is where you go to bring and test hypotheses, to experiment a little, to think maybe you want to go in this direction, and then maybe make a different choice and go in a different direction. So we're going to play a little bit in the lab. We're going to reconnect with ourselves. We're going to learn how to trust our intuition. We're going to spend a lot of time on decision making. We're going to force ourselves out of that someday loop when the time is right, or the kids are gone, or my parents are situated and feeling okay, or the time is, someday I'll do the things that I want to do for myself. We're going to get you in motion. We're going to get you out of the someday loop. And then we're going to stop living the same year on repeat and feel like we're going to make a life that feels more like us every single day. We're going to ask better questions. We're going to run experiments with new ways of thinking, doing, and being. We're going to ditch the old scripts and the shoulds. We're going to observe what actually feels good to us and not what just sounds good on paper. We're going to ditch all of that physical bullshit that they've been trying to sell us in the wellness industry. We're going to actually dive into the deeper questions. The investment is $997. I don't know about you, but I've gone to a lot of master classes before. I've invested the time only to get to the end of the class and be like, how much do you want for that? This is easily a $16,000 value for $997. My business coach wants me to charge more for it. But what I really want to do this year, 2026 for me, is giving women the tools to make 2026 their best life. And I'm not saying that just because I think it sounds good. I really mean that. My whole goal for 2026 is to impact 350 women, whether that is through one-on-one coaching, group coaching, luxury retreats. And so I'm trying to price this so that the investment is a no-brainer. So that instead of being part of that fix, a $5.6 trillion wellness industry, you can invest $997 in your own self this year, take a toe dip into group coaching, and really end up with incredible results. You will end up with results that will blow your mind. We're going to do that in an 8-week intensive. So we're going to get kicked off on February 18th. We're going to go once a week for 8 weeks. We're going to go through an entire program. There is so much more about this that you can find at schoolofmidlife.com/lab. Don't go there yet. There's 3 pay in full bonuses. You get a 30-minute one-on-one personalized coaching call with me. You get a annual subscription to the Best Life Planner, plus a private tutorial on how to use it. You get the bound Best Life Lab workbook, all of that if you pay in full. There are 2 pays and 3 pays available. You don't get the pay in full bonuses, but you do get to lower that investment if that feels like a heavy lift for you right now. Because again, we want to make this as easy for you to say yes to yourself, to create 2026 in a way, live it in a way that you haven't before. But let's go on because we're not quite done. I'm looking at the time. If you need to drop off, you can. Moving on. If you have a piece of paper handy, I would love you to take it out. I would love you to have a pen as well. I should have let you know that at the top, but I forgot. So we're going to do a quick exercise. And I want to show you why we don't want to keep waiting to do this work. So with your pen and your piece of paper handy, I want you to draw 11 lines across. Okay? They don't have to be pretty. They don't have to be straight. 11 lines across. And then I want you to do 9 lines down. So you're going to make yourself a grid that looks like the one on the screen. Once you have your grid created, then for every year that you have been alive, I want you to put an X in a box. Okay? So there are 10 rows down if you have done it. So for 10 lines down. So for every row, that's 10 years. So I want you to then fill out your grid. Call this the magic squares. I am 54. I am going to cross off 54 squares on my grid. When you have your squares done, will you just drop it in the chat and let me know that you are ready to move on, please? Perfect. Now, in the bottom right corner, cross off 2 squares there. And that's because what you are looking at now is a visual representation of the average life expectancy of a woman in the United States. I know we have someone from Canada. I don't know what the number is there, but in the United States, an average woman lives to 78.8 years. This is a visualization of how many years that you have lived and how much time, if you have an average life expectancy, how many boxes, how many squares, how many years you have left. Now, I hope that we all get way more boxes, way more squares than are on this grid. But that's not how math works, is it? I mean, math is going to tell us that even on this call, we're going to have people, women who get more boxes, women who get less boxes. So my question is, how long do you want to keep waiting to live a life that feels in alignment with the woman who you are in this season, with the woman that you're becoming? Because if you're anything like me, I don't have a lot of boxes left. I'm curious, what comes up for you when you look at this? Is this motivating to you? Is it exciting? Does it bring up regrets? Does it make you feel like I'm kind of sad? Like I've spent too much time worrying about other things for other people and I'm kind of running out of boxes? For me, this is very motivating. For me, this is I've got to get my shit together and start doing the things that I actually want to do because I'm running out of boxes. And I don't mean that in any sort of morbid sort of way, but for me, death is one of those things that kind of keeps me honest. I have so much more I want to accomplish, and I don't want to waste my boxes living my life any longer in a way that isn't in alignment with who I am. I am currently reading the top 5 regrets of the dying. We're going to talk about these concepts a little bit more it's either day 2 or day 3, but I want you to be aware of them now. Bronnie Ward is a palliative nurse who worked with hospice patients. And so she had this this incredible opportunity with the women and men that she was working with, that she was providing care to at the end of their life. And they were able to have these conversations. Here were the top 5 regrets. Number 1, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Number 2, I wish I wouldn't have worked so hard. Number 3, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Number 4, I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. Number 5, I wish I'd let myself be happier. When we look at those regrets, especially in relation to those magic squares in that life grid that we just created, do you notice none of these say, I wish I would have eaten more protein? I wish I would have spent more time at the gym. These don't even talk about, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. That sort of talks about work, but notice none of them talk about like being in relationships that are sucking the life out of me or staying in a career that no longer is serving me. These are important things for us to remember. And if we are trying to get to the point where we feel like we're living in alignment with who we want to be, the woman who we were always meant to be, the woman that we are becoming, we have to stop living those lives for everyone else. We have to bring all of the ideas of who we should be and what we should want. We have to bring that inside. We've got to bring it to a feeling level. We've got to get back in touch with our own intuition. We have to start learning to trust our gut. It's all about discernment. It's all about decision making. And it's so important that we don't keep wasting time to start doing that vital work. Tomorrow, we're going to go way deeper into this when we talk about the wake-up call that every high-achieving woman gets in midlife. With that, we are done for today. Thank you so much for hanging on a little longer than planned. Remember that you can catch the replays for the video and the audio on the replay page. That is schoolofmidlife.com/replays. Those will be up as soon as I can get them uploaded. With that, thank you so much for being here. I will see you back here tomorrow. Thanks so much. Take good care. Have a good night.